on here?
The movie kicks off with two best friends, Katie, who is always playing by the rules, and Sloane, who is much more carefree.
We're not taking a year off.
They're both excited about an upcoming trip out of town, where they'll spend a month working at Ecofield Organic Farms.
I am so excited. No shit.
Their goal? To earn enough cash for a shopping spree in New York City. The next morning, Katie's cop uncle, Jason, picks them up. Before heading to the farm, they crash at his place, where he lives with his girlfriend.
Anything's fine. Cool. But could we see our room?
While settling in, Sloane suggests they use fake names while in town, just for fun. She picks the name Heather, and Katie decides on Ripley. The following day, Jason drops them off at a station where they'll catch a bus to the farm.
You want me to wait with you?
No.
Being the protective uncle he is, Jason insists they set up a safety system. At the end of each text, Katie must include a different code word in alphabetical order.
Okay, but if I can't call, I'll text.
The first one is Apple. With that settled, Jason leaves, and the girls still have an hour before the bus arrives.
Be careful, okay?
Bye.
So they head to a nearby cafe. While waiting, they catch the attention of two local guys and end up sharing a table. Introducing themselves with their fake names, they meet two brothers, Jed and Lucas.
Food's already at your table?
The guys offer them a ride to the farm, and though Katie is hesitant, Sloane silently convinces her to accept. So, they hop into the brothers' blue truck, but things take a wrong turn, literally. Jed drives right past the farm, confusing the girls. Eventually, they reach a house where Jed and Lucas's mother greets them warmly, inviting them in for tea before they head to the farm.
You're freaking these poor girls out.
Inside, Katie gets a text from her uncle and, using their agreed-upon system, reassures him that everything is fine. Meanwhile, the girls eat some pie and sip on tea. Big mistake. Their vision soon blurs as they realize the drinks were spiked. Panic sets in, and they try to escape, but before they can get far, Jed and Lucas overpower them, knocking them unconscious. When they wake up the next day, they find themselves chained up in the woods, terrified and confused. Jed informs them that this will be their new home and provides them with basic necessities. Clothes, a bed, and a toilet. Later, a man named Boris, who seems to be in charge, arrives. He snatches Katie's phone to check if anyone knows their location.
Sure that you stay healthy.
While going through the messages, he realizes something's off. The fake names and the coded text raise suspicion. Eventually, the girls are forced to admit that Apple was a safety word meant for Katie's uncle.
I'm not even gonna hurt your friend for lying to me.
Just as the situation escalates, they're about to take a makeshift shower when an unexpected visitor arrives.
Open that up there.
The town sheriff, gun in hand. However, instead of helping them, he turns out to be involved in the trafficking ring. He chooses one of the girls and assaults her before leaving. Sloane later comforts a shaken Katie. Meanwhile, Jason grows worried when he receives a text from Katie using the same safe word as the previous day.
She did.
I never got it.
Something that wasn't supposed to happen. His concern deepens when he calls the farm and learns that Katie and Sloane never showed up for work. Realizing something is terribly wrong, he sets out to find them. Back in the woods, Jed and Lucas bring in another man.
No! Don't leave her alone!
And we'll call Scruffy Guy. He picks Sloane and drags her inside trailer. As expected, he's completely unhinged. Meanwhile, Jason is now actively searching for them, determined to figure out what happened.
That'd be great, thank you. I'll be at this number.
The nightmare continues for the girls. Another customer arrives, this time even more unsettling. Wearing a disturbing pig mask, he selects Sloane and takes her inside. When she returns, she is visibly more traumatized than before, and Katie does her best to comfort her friend. Elsewhere, Jason finally arrives at the sheriff's office and comes face to face with the same corrupt sheriff. Here, we learn that Jason isn't just a regular cop.
Well, like I said in my messages, they never showed up at the farm. They came out.
He's actually an FBI agent. He shares his concerns, convinced that Katie has been abducted. In a questionable move, he tells the sheriff how he figured it out.
Doubly difficult with young girls. If they're
Katie repeated the same code word, which wasn't part of their system. Of course, the sheriff isn't on it and wastes no time alerting the kidnappers that Katie's uncle is an FBI agent. Realizing they're in serious danger, Boris orders Jed to eliminate both girls and dispose of their bodies.
Dump them where we dump the others, just outside the city.
Fortunately, Katie overhears this conversation and starts thinking of a way out. At the same time, Jason retraces their steps and visits the cafe where he last saw them. He asks the barista if he remembers anything, and luckily, the barista recalls the exact type of truck Katie and Sloan left in. The next morning, Katie informs Sloan that their captors are planning to get rid of them soon. Right on cue, the kidnappers show up with their scruffy-looking accomplice,
Don't touch these two to the sheriff.
leaving him behind to keep an eye on the two women. Seeing an opportunity, Katie turns on the charm and gets close to him, just long enough to sink her teeth into his throat and tear it open. As he collapses, bleeding out, she and Sloan quickly free themselves from their restraints. Not long after, the sheriff arrives, likely to finish them off. But before he even steps out of his vehicle, he realizes too late that Katie and Sloan have already made their escape, stealing his car in the process. They speed into town, making a pit stop at a hardware store to load up on supplies. It's time to turn the tables. While there, they ask the cashier if he knows a guy named Boris who drives a blue truck. The cashier doesn't hesitate. He knows exactly where to find him. Meanwhile, across town, Uncle Jason is still on the hunt for answers. Today, his investigation takes him to an insurance office,
I don't want it.
where he plays the part of a guy who accidentally hit a blue truck and needs to find out who owns it. Back at Boris's place, the man barely makes it home when Katie and Sloan ambush him. They launch a bunch of makeshift nail-covered tennis balls at him, leaving him badly injured. Realizing he's in deep trouble, Boris immediately starts begging for his life, even offering them cash if they let him go. Just then, Uncle Jason pulls up outside. Inside, Katie and Sloan aren't feeling generous. They demand to know who the masked man is, the one wearing the pig mask. When Boris refuses to spill, they take a sharp makeshift spear and shove it somewhere he definitely doesn't want it. The pain proves too much, and Boris doesn't make it. By the time Uncle Jason enters the house, the women are long gone. All that's left is Boris, barely hanging on to life. Before Jason can process what happened, the sound of revving engines outside catches his attention. He runs outside just in time to see Katie and Sloan speeding away. With no other choice, Jason rushes Boris to the hospital. Later, the sheriff calls him with bad news. Boris didn't make it. Growing more anxious, Jason tries calling Katie's phone, but before he can say anything, the sheriff suddenly pulls a gun on him, realizing his cover is now completely blown. Meanwhile, Katie and Sloan pull up in front of a church, and this is where we get the big reveal. The masked man is actually the town's priest. Without hesitation, Sloan storms inside and comes face to face with a monster who violated her. With Katie's help, they make sure he won't hurt anyone ever again. After dealing with him, the women drive off, finally feeling a sense of relief. But there's one final loose end to tie up. They stop the car and step outside, revealing that the priest has been chained to the back of the truck the whole time. For their final act of justice, they douse him in gasoline, set him on fire, and drive away without looking back. While Katie and Sloan seem to be finally getting some closure, Uncle Jason isn't so lucky. He's now being held captive by the sheriff, who has also kidnapped two other young women. But the sheriff has underestimated Katie and Sloan. They show up just in time to save the day. They tie him up and decide to have a little fun at his expense, playing a twisted game of Russian roulette. It's clear now that these two women aren't the same people they were before, but honestly, who could blame them? The sheriff, now terrified, starts begging for forgiveness. But Katie isn't in the mood for mercy. One final shot to the head, and it's all over. Afterward, they free the captive women and tell them to untie Uncle Jason. When Jason asks who took out the sheriff, they stay silent out of gratitude, because as far as they're concerned, Katie and Sloan saved their lives. Next on the list, a visit to Jed and Lucas's mother. The same woman who drugged them days ago is about to get a taste of her own medicine. They slip something into her drink, and once she's out cold, they drag her down to the basement, where her son Jed is already tied up and gagged. They don't waste time. With baseball bats in hand, they beat him to a pulp, forcing his mother to watch the brutal scene unfold. But they're not done yet. Lucas is up next. Tied to a chair, he's given a choice. Either he takes the bat and beats his own mother, or they put him down themselves. When he refuses, they don't hesitate. One gunshot, and he's gone. To cover their tracks, they set up the scene to make it look like a suicide, pinning everything on Lucas. Desperate, the mother offers them money to let her go. But money isn't going to cut it. Instead, Katie finishes the job by mowing her down, literally with a lawnmower. Sometime later, Uncle Jason shows up at Katie's place to pick her and Sloan up. Enough time has passed, and it's clear they're ready to move on. He drops them off at the airport, where the two women excitedly board a flight to New York City, leaving behind the past and the trail of destruction they wrought in their wake.